Let's talk about Elvis. But not the Elvis you think you know. Not the icon in the jumpsuit or the kid with the sneer. Let's talk about the man inside. The one who carried his childhood with him every single day. The boy who grew up in a tiny house in Tupelo, Mississippi. The boy who learned everything he knew about music in a small, loud, passionate church. You have to understand this to understand anything else about him. His musical soul was born in the Assembly of God church. This wasn't a quiet, polite, once-a-week kind of faith. This was raw. It was emotional. It was music that shook the walls and the people inside them. It was call and response. The preacher would cry out, and the congregation would cry back. It was clapping, stomping, sweating. It was feeling the music in your bones and your spirit. It was about release. It was about finding a connection to something bigger than yourself through pure, unfiltered sound. This is where he learned to sing. Not just how to hit the notes, but how to mean it. He watched the singers pour every ounce of their being into every word. They weren't just singing songs, they were testifying. They were sharing their pain, their hope, their desperation. The music was a direct line from their heart to God's ear. And a young Elvis absorbed all of it. He saw how music could move people, how it could make them feel something real. He carried that with him. When he walked into his son's studio as a teenager, he wasn't trying to invent rock and roll. He was just trying to sing the way he knew how. He sang country songs, he sang blues songs, and he sang gospel songs. Sam Phillips, the man who discovered him, said that Elvis was a spiritual person. He believed that the spirit was in the music, and you can hear it even in his earliest, wildest rockabilly recordings. There's a fervor. There's an urgency. It's the sound of that little church in Tupelo, just dressed up in a different set of clothes. Throughout his entire career, no matter how big he got, he always went back to gospel. It was his anchor, it was his true north. He recorded gospel albums, he won his only Grammy Awards for his gospel music. Think about that. The king of rock and roll, the biggest star on the planet, and the awards he cherished most were for singing hymns. When he was at home, away from the crowds and the cameras, he would gather his friends around a piano. And what did they sing? They sang gospel for hours. It was how he recharged. It was how he reconnected with himself, with that boy from Tupelo. The gospel music he sang was about faith. It was about trust. It was about surrender to a higher power. It was about the promise of salvation, of being saved from your troubles. The song spoke of a pure, unwavering love. A love that would never let you down, never deceive you. A love that could pull you from the deepest pit of despair. It was music of certainty. Even when it spoke of struggle, the destination was always grace. So now let's go to 1969. Elvis is in Memphis, he's making a comeback, the Goofy movie years are behind him. He's hungry again, he wants to be relevant, he wants to make music that matters. He's not the innocent kid from the 50s anymore, he's a man, a married man, a father. He's lived a life that is complicated and isolating. He's surrounded by people, but he's deeply lonely. The world sees the king, but he feels like a prisoner in his own kingdom. He's in the American Sound Studio, a place known for its gritty, soulful sound. He's working with a producer, Chips Moman, who pushes him. He's not making slick Hollywood recordings. This is real. This is raw. And a song comes across his desk. The song is not about faith. It's about the complete and utter lack of it. It's a song about suspicion. It's about paranoia. It's about being trapped in a relationship where trust has completely died. The lyrics are a conversation, a desperate argument between two lovers who are stuck. They can't move forward together because they don't believe each other, but they can't leave either. We can't go on together. The song begins. It's a statement of fact. A dead end, though, with suspicious minds. And there's the core of it. The poison that seeped into everything. The song paints a picture of a love that has become a prison. We're caught in a trap, he sings. I can't walk out because I love you too much, baby. It's a confession of helplessness. This isn't the liberating love of the Gospels. This is a suffocating, painful love. A love that hurts. Think about the themes. Gospel is about redemption. The song is about being stuck. Gospel is about divine truth. This song is about human lies and doubt. Why can't you see what you're doing to me, he pleads, when you don't believe a word I'm saying? It's a cry of pure frustration. It's the sound of a man trying to be heard, trying to be believed, and failing. The music itself mirrors this turmoil. It's not a simple three-chord rock song. It's complex. It has a strange time signature that keeps you off balance. It builds and builds in tension. The verses are quiet, almost conversational, full of anxiety. Then the chorus explodes with passion and desperation. The horns stab like accusations. The background singers are a haunting echo of his own doubts. And then there's that famous part near the end. The song slows down, it fades. You think it's over. The fight has exhausted itself, the relationship is dead. And then, just as you accept the silence, it comes roaring back. A blast of drums, horns, and his voice, more powerful and more desperate than ever. It's not a triumphant return. It's the sound of the cycle starting all over again. They're still trapped. Nothing has been resolved. The fade out was a lie, a false hope. The prison is real, and the door is still locked. So, the question is, did he feel like he was betraying his roots by singing this? On the surface, it seems like a definite yes. How could the man who sang How Great Thou Art with such pure conviction turn around and sing a song about such a toxic, faithless human relationship? One is about looking up to heaven for salvation. The other is about being trapped in a hell of your own making right here on earth. One is about sacred love. The other is about secular torment. It's easy to see them as two different people. The gospel Elvis, pure and sincere, and the Las Vegas Elvis singing about adult problems, heartache, and distrust. It's easy to imagine that he had to wall off that spiritual part of himself to perform a song like this. That he had to step into a character, a persona that was the opposite of the boy from the Tupelo church. You could argue that this song represented everything his gospel music fought against. Gospel music was his escape from the pressures of his life. It was his connection to something true and stable. This song was a deep dive right into the heart of that pressure. His own marriage to Priscilla was crumbling at the time. He was living the lyrics. The suspicion, the distance, the feeling of being trapped, that was his daily reality. So maybe singing this song wasn't just an artistic choice, but a painful confession. And maybe that confession felt like a betrayal of the simple, pure faith he was raised on. A faith that promised peace, not this endless churning conflict, but I think that's the wrong way to look at it. I don't think it was a betrayal at all. I think it was something else entirely. And I think it was a translation. He wasn't betraying his gospel roots, he was using them. Think about the performance, forget the lyrics for a second, and just listen to his voice. Listen to the emotion. It's the same emotion he put into his gospel songs. It's that same raw, unfiltered, heart on the sleeve pleading. The desperation in his voice when he sings, "We're caught in a trap," is the same kind of desperation you hear in a sinner's cry for mercy. It comes from the exact same place in his soul. The Assembly of God Church taught him how to testify. It taught him that music was not about being pretty or perfect. It was about being honest. It was about laying your soul bare for everyone to see. And that's exactly what he does in this song. He is testifying about his own pain. He is sharing his personal struggle. It's a secular testimony, but it's a testimony nonetheless. The musical structure of the song, that dramatic build and release, is the structure of a gospel sermon. It starts with a problem, it builds the tension, it explodes with emotion, it offers a moment of false peace, and then it comes back with even more fire. He is the preacher in this song. His congregation is anyone who has ever felt trapped in a relationship. His sermon is about the hell of suspicion. He didn't have to abandon his roots to sing this. He had to dig deeper into them than ever before. He needed every bit of the emotional power he learned in that church to pull this song off. A lesser singer would have made it sound melodramatic or whiny, but he makes it sound real. He makes you feel the walls closing in. That's not just technique, that's spirit. The core of gospel music is the honest expression of the human condition. It's about struggle, pain, and the hope for release. This song is about struggle, it's about pain, and it's about the desperate, almost hopeless desire for release. The only difference is the context. In a gospel song, the release comes from God. In this song, he's begging for release from another person, and he knows he's not going to get it. That makes it a tragedy, but it doesn't make it less spiritual. The yearning for connection, for truth, for freedom, that is a spiritual yearning, whether it's directed at heaven or at the person sleeping next to you. And so no, I don't think he felt like he was betraying anything. He was probably more in touch with his authentic self while singing this song than he was in many of those silly movie musicals. He was being honest, and honesty was the foundation of the music he loved most. He was using the tools God gave him, the tools he honed in that little church, to tell a story about his own messy, complicated human life. It's not a story of sacred versus secular, it's a story of one man, Elvis Presley, who contained both. The boy who sang hymns with all his heart grew into a man who sang about heartache with the exact same heart. He wasn't two different people, he was one whole person. The river of his talent flowed from a single source. Sometimes it watered the fields of faith, and other times it carved a canyon of despair. But it was always the same water. The song became his last #1 hit while he was alive. It was the absolute peak of his comeback, a moment of pure artistic triumph. And it was a triumph not because he left his past behind, but because he brought all of it with him onto that stage. The boy from Tupelo was right there, sweating under the Las Vegas lights, using the language of the church to describe the pain of a broken heart. He wasn't betraying his roots, he was showing the world just how deep they went. The song, of course, was Suspicious Minds.